All right, well, we are going to dive in. And I'm so glad that you decided to take some time to learn more about your human design. And today we're going to talk all about stepping into the role you were meant to play with the human design profile line. So I believe that everyone that's attending here live has at least heard of human design, looked into it enough to know a little bit. But if you're brand new to it, it is something that just knowing your profile can give you some insight in a different way than most of our other personality profiles. What these personality tests, and when we read about ourselves, like, of course, we all love to hear about ourselves, but when it rings true, when it resonates, it's just, it feels validating, feels permission to be me. We long, I feel like, as humans, to be seen, to be known, and knowing ourselves is how we can do that for ourselves. Well, I've been obsessed with all different personality things my whole life. I did colors and I did the disc for work. I got really into the Enneagram there for a while. And gosh, I bet you there's 10 others that have come across over time. But the one thing that I love about human design and how it sets itself apart when it comes to personality type is that we don't get to pick it. It's not based on our behavior. It's not based on how well we know ourselves, our self-awareness, or how we were raised, even, because I'm sure it's just, we understand that we're raised by certain ways, or we have certain circumstances. Even just being like me, as being raised in the Midwest, this can impact how we behave, what we say, how we're thinking, whether we went to private school or a homeschooled or public school. Like, this can even impact how we act. So when it comes to human design, it's rooted in these Eastern philosophies. The astrology takes your birth time, your birthplace, your date, and the transits that the astrology above us, beyond us, how it impacts us, and the light exactly shining on us when we were born. And then it also weaves in the I Ching and the Kabbalah tree of life, as well as the Hindu chakra system, some of those universal things that we all experience, but it is unique to us. So a couple of you have the same personality profile, but I bet if you sat down with each other, while we can definitely see how it fits in your life, it will manifest in different ways. You have different things that impact it. So the two of you that have a 1-3 profile, you may have, and I know you do, have different energy types and decision-making styles. So that's going to impact it. And the two of you that have the 3-5 personality profile, we're going to dive into all of what that means. But a 3-5 is someone that's like, here to really experiment. So you might be experimenting with, I don't know, how to run hot air balloons versus scuba diving. Like, they're very different experiences, even if they're the same personality profile. So the big difference that human design brings is that you don't get to pick yours. You get to decide if you try it on and experiment with it. I am not here today to give you or tell you who you are, or place a rule or a role on you, but to give you something to be curious about and experiment, something fresh to try on. And we all get 2 numbers. So one of them is a conscious number, one that you will see yourself in most likely. This is going to be most aligned with some of the tests that you've taken in the past. And then the second number is your unconscious number. So it's a gift that you have. And the craziest thing, to me at least, is the second number is what other people see in you. It doesn't always mean that you see it in yourself. So it could be totally foreign to you, or similar to what Jenny was saying when we first started, like, I might be an introvert, I might be an extrovert. What if one number is introverted, one number is extroverted? What is that like? And that's true of my profile. So anyway, we are going to dive in today. So welcome. Thanks again for being here. Today, we are going to talk about, like, my framework is all about lightening your load. So when I met human design, it was in a place in my life where I was burnt out, overwhelmed, overworked, and I kept trying to push past the energy I had to give. And I couldn't understand, like, why is this not working? How is it that I know I know exactly what to do and I know the answer and I'm very smart and I know I'm a good worker and I can't force myself to do this and I'm tired and I just want to quit or burn the whole thing down. So that is where I was when I found human design. And that's why my mission has become lightening the load. So it's not about trying harder or doing better or doing more or working faster, but human design gives us this chance to lighten up how life feels without blowing the whole thing up. So we're going to explore together today those 6 human design profile lines and the 12 personality styles. I also, with this masterclass, I'm launching my brand new programs. So I'll tell you what those are and you can pass them along or decide to join them if you'd like. My story is all about being a high achiever. I started from a real young age performing and learning how to do the right thing and how to keep going and be better, work faster, prove myself. And what I found is that the harder that I pushed, the more exhausted I felt. So when I say heavy, I mean, I just always felt the pressure to do it better. I'm never good enough, if you will. Can anyone relate to that? I guess a little bit about my story. Just as I was growing up, I was very involved in volunteering, involved with my church. I, of course, did everything in school, very much involved and active, extroverted mostly. And I got married young, started working. I started a business about the time, about 15 years ago. I started a business with Pampered Chef, and direct sales gave me this beautiful way to get recognized and bring my unique personality to something, and also work from home and be my own boss, which is something that I crave as well. So it was a really great match. But what it didn't lend to is steadiness, like a rewarding for rewarding's sake. So I got recognized for when I did well, but when I didn't do well, it was just a whole lot of work. And I didn't feel connected anymore to how I was doing it. So for me, human design was it all. So it's not about being someone else. And I think that all of the roles that I played growing up, trying to be the right person, do the right thing, create a life that looked good or that I was supposed to, I was always guessing and looking outside of myself to figure out what is it that I can do to feel better, to make life not feel as hard. And it was all about this journey to work really, really, really hard. And what I was trying to get to, I think, was just this steady feel opportunity. I thought maybe someday I could just kind of sit back and do status quo and feel really good about it if I got there, quote unquote, got there. But when I found human design, I realized, oh, I'm not even using my energy in a way that works for me. I'm always hustling, always feeling pressure, always pushing. It was like I lived to run away from fear instead of running towards what I wanted. So when we talk about human design, there's all kinds of things. There's 3 foundational things, but the thing that we're going to really dive into today is the profile. So this is your potential to step into who you are. It's the casting, okay? It's the movie called your life. And when I share about your profile and you learn about your 2 numbers and how they work together, I just urge you not to judge it and say, oh, that one sounds better, because you'll probably do that, right? I know. I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to be a 6 too or something. But I want you to just consider trying this on with playfulness, curiosity, not criticizing the negative side that you see, but really embracing what would it be like to play this role? And so one of the things that I noticed about why it felt so heavy for me, I'll use the example when we get to that point, but a lot of my life I was trained in like doing the right thing in the circles I ran in, especially with church and with my public school groups, they kind of train you to be a four, someone who's social, someone who is nice to everyone, everyone's best friend. And so when I was forcing that, and then I would feel really bad when people didn't like me. I'm like, well, what did I do wrong? And actually that felt really heavy, but actually I wasn't meant to be super close to everyone that I knew. I'm not everyone's bestie, unfortunately. I'm not that lifelong friend that most like I looked at people and thought, I wish I had a lifelong friend that was always my friend and that just would never leave me. But that's actually not in my design. So examples of this for you could be an introvert trying to force themselves to network like other extroverts, or like force themselves to speak on stages. A natural leader who like hides their wisdom because they don't feel like they have the voice. It could be a leader shrinking just to keep other people comfortable. They don't want to rock the boat. And so my first question as we start, you were drawn to learn more about this. I'd love for you to put in the chat, like, what is it that you were drawn to? And is there a place that you're forcing, proving, or performing where you just don't feel like yourself? If anyone has an answer and they want to share, or if you feel like a square peg in a round hole anywhere, I'd love to hear that. We'll just take like 1 or 2 minutes here or less.
Can I tell you
Sure.
in person? I'm a new business owner since last December, and I'm just trying to figure this out. I think having reassurance about where my strengths and weaknesses are would be helpful right now, so I can lean in to those, and because I have to fiercely protect my energy right now, and learning how to draw boundaries on certain things is really important. So the more I know about what excites my energy and what drains my energy will be helpful when I'm deciding how to create those boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly where human design's made an impact for me too, starting a new business and trying to work with my energy instead of just the way I've always done it.
Hmm.
And Christina, you said looking for more ease and alignment. Yeah. And just that it doesn't feel so heavy, right? That word, that idea of like, let's just lighten the load. Can this just be a little easier? Like there's enough hard things in life. Let's just feel good sometimes, right? And when we talk about reducing resistance, and we find ease and we find alignment, things are meant to be in flow. It's so funny because we are raised with this limiting belief that things need to be hard to be good. And then we also believe that if it's hard, like what's hard for us is what's wrong with us. So like we think we need to work hard in order for it to work out. And then we also think, oh, something's wrong with me because it's hard. Like those don't those don't match, right? There's just like it's not apples and apples. It's like apples and I don't know, crackers. So yeah, okay. So Mindy says working solo from home is hard and you take a coffee meeting every once in a while. Yeah. Learning how to work with like your energy again, essentially is what that's about. Like really understanding, yeah, I need some alone time, but I also like have to have that connection. And human design also can give insight to that as well, because maybe you don't have an extroverted number per se, but maybe in your energy type, you have a split definition, which is just like my head doesn't talk to my belly. Like if you've done a reading with me, maybe that makes sense. But if you need people to help you really feel like you understand yourself fully, most of us have that in our design too. Good. Okay. Human design has the 3 things. So I just want to say this because human design is a big system. I'm still learning new things. In fact, I'm really excited. This masterclass is coming along with me. I'm just 2 weeks away from graduating from an integrated human design certification, where instead of being able to understand the chart and tell you about yourself, I can actually help you understand the big picture and how it all works together. And I'm just really excited about that because these things flow and it's a much bigger picture than what we're holding into today. But the big foundational things that you want to understand if you're going to use human design as a tool to make your life more aligned, easy, you want to understand your type. That's going to be how your energy moves, how you get activated. So for generators, that's doing things that light you up, get you excited. If you're a manifesting generator, that plus making sure there's variety and that you don't force yourself to complete, you just go where your energy wants to go. If you are a projector, that means taking the bird's eye view and guiding others, using your wisdom, working less instead of forcing yourself to work more, making sure you feel recognized and that you're doing things you love. Manifestors, your energy moves in hot, cold. It needs to go when it's time and spark that energy and move very fast. Get those ideas out there, inform people of what you're doing and not asking for their permission. And then you need to pull back and let others take over, rest, and wait for those sparks to come again. And if you're a reflector, that you're really taking your time to notice how you feel in your environment. With authority, this is how you make decisions. That's the second pillar. It's type and authority. So how you make decisions is your body wisdom. So we all know how to make decisions from our head, and we might not be very good at it, right? Pros and cons. I don't know. Just stress. But our inner authority, like if you're a sacral, like it's either a heck yes or it's a no. If you are splenic, listening to your instincts and moving right when you feel them. If you're an emotional authority, making sure you wait for clarity before committing your energy, your time, your resources. And then today we're talking about the third, one of the three pillars, and that's who you are. Profile is really who you are meant to be. And again, you get two sides to that. So there are 12 different profiles and 6 lines. So 1 through 6 have a meaning. And then when you put them together, you get your personality type. First number on the left there is going to be your conscious number, the one that you'll identify most with. And then the second number is going to be the one that other people see in you. And this is based on your human design profile, not good or bad, but you might find, like I did for me, of my family members, both of my kids are 1-3s. They're very different to me personality wise, but they both are 1-3. So I think that's really interesting. But your profile is really your unique way of showing up in the world. The general overview is the 1 is our investigator. The 2 is the natural. 3 is the experimenter. 4 is the opportunist or network. 5 is the heretic. And 6 is the role model. All right, so let's dive in. If you have a 1 in your profile, so if you have a 1 as the first number, it's your conscious. So that would be a 1-3 or a 1-4. And then if you have a 1 as the second number, that's your unconscious number. That's how other people would see you. So I know we have both on this call. So if you identify with any of these, for sure, send some notes in the chat and we'll take a look at what you think. So as an investigator, someone with a 1 in their like leading personality profile is someone who needs a solid foundation. They've got to do the research. They have to look into this. They have to know what's going on in order to feel, I want to say the word soothed. So when I think of, you ever been around someone that's like super anxious because they don't know what's going on? Like, what are we doing next? And what are we doing next? What are we doing next? Like, that's kind of how I'd see the 1 without information. Like, it doesn't mean they have to be a planner and know minute to minute, but they just like in order to feel comfortable in their own skin, they have to know some stuff. And they're going to have this insatiable desire to know more. And so if you're a 1 and you're going on vacation, you'd be the one that will read an article about that destination and find out that they're a top 10, whatever. You might read reviews and know all about this hotel or the excursions, you're going to feel more soothed. You're going to feel more like yourself or at your home in your own body whenever you get the information. It's like a preparing type of thing. You just like to learn too. So if you're a one, you want to allow yourself to dive the rabbit hole and not necessarily say that it's going to waste your time or take up too much time. Ones really just, they need the information. And so if you work with a one, you can ask them like you might notice what they're good at and ask them how they learned about that. Maybe they listen to podcasts on accounting. I don't know, I don't know what the topic is. And that part doesn't really matter. But if you're a one and you love cars, when people are like, why do you have to read the Car and Driver magazine? Just, you got to let that go because it helps them be who they are to know more. It definitely can move into a shadow. And when I say shadow, just that like unhealthy part or getting more into your toxic traits, we all have them, right? Is when you're preparing so much that you're not actually acting. So ones can get really stuck in that analysis paralysis and like, ooh, just one more certification. Let me read one more book. I don't want to talk about it just yet because I don't know enough. Or someone that gets a certification and then they are too fearful to go and use it because they're new, but they're never not going to be new until they do something with it, right? So ones can feel really stuck because they do have to learn it and they have to have enough confidence, but then hopefully their second number is going to push them out of the nest so that they can actually use what they learned and give that value back. And that's part of being your whole self, is using the knowledge that you get. You're not just a computer, right? So the tip for anybody that's a one is to lighten your load by stop trying to know everything before beginning. Okay, but you do have to give yourself permission to go be a nerd and learn the thing. All right, so if you have a one in your profile, let me know, does this resonate with you? And if you have something that you love to nerd out on, if you have something that you love to learn, I'd love to know what that is. And I'm just taking, Mindy's feeling that. Nice. Yeah. And it turns into procrastination. Yeah, exactly. So when you need to know more and you use consuming information to not act, like, oh, let me just do a little bit more, it can turn into procrastination. Absolutely. Yes, I can see how that would happen. All right. So the two, does anyone here have a two in their profile? Oh, Liz joined us. Liz has a two in hers. Liz, you were a 5-2. So a two is the natural and the hermit. So in traditional human design, they call it the hermit. I think natural is good to put in there too, because the thing about a hermit is that they need to be alone. They need to dance like no one's watching them. And the other thing about a two and two, the numbers 2 and 5, they have a little caveat to them because twos hold a projection field. When people see a two, they only see them for what they're good at. Not only, but that's usually the first thing they see. So the theme is that they have gifts that just naturally come out when they give themselves time to do it. So for example, let's say a two is really great at dancing, like my picture here, let's say they're really good at dancing, but they have such a back-to-back schedule that they can never listen to the music and move their body. And so their natural gift of dancing can never be shown to anyone because they're too busy doing everything else. But they're really meant, twos really are here to show us talent and ease and give their natural wisdom to everyone else, right? They may pick something up or just have a knack for something. It doesn't mean they're not going to go to school or get a certification or something like that, but it's just going to come easier to them, which also having a projection field, a two gets a projection from other people looking at them like, oh, things are so easy for them. Now, I know that a few people that signed up were 2-4s, but I don't think anyone's on the call today. But if you have a two in your profile, you can share some thoughts on this as well. The shadow, or the thing that holds twos back, is like hiding away. They're more prone to being shy or to not want to show their gifts off, especially if they know they're being watched. So they can kind of go be their amazing self alone, but never show it to the world, when in reality, it's meant for their gifts to be shown. So hermits, just like hermit crabs, right? In order for a hermit crab to be like seen, to know if there's anything in the shell, they have to like poke out sometimes and move. And vice versa too. If they never go inside and they never rest alone, then they can't, like their natural gifts can't evolve. So the lighten your load tip for twos is going to be allow yourself to be called out. And that is really what happens to a two, is you have to kind of go and live your life like no one's watching, so that someone can come to you and be like, you're really good at that. Did we have any twos? Let me see. I have two in my second number. It's my unconscious number. Okay, so no, none yet. But my unconscious number being a two, what I find is I didn't know what I was good at. And so my tip usually for people that have twos in their profile is like, go ask your friends, because they will know what you're good at. And I had on this call, I have a couple of people that know me well enough. But if I were to ask, like, Katie, what is Katie good at? You'd probably be able to come up with something, because unfortunately, the hermit too, that wants to hide, is actually very visible to other people and usually noticed for what they do well at. So it's like a gift and a curse, right? All right, let's talk about the three. Several of you have threes, right? A 3-5, a 3-6, or you could reverse that, 1-3s and 6-3s. So this is the experiment. Threes are the people that need to blow things up and actually do it before they can learn it. So I have my son is a 1-3. I have this picture from the lake, jumping off a cliff, right? Someone had just put a chain on this big cliff, like, oh, I'm gonna go explore that, like go jump, do some spins, and then did it over and over and over, did it backwards, did it upside down, did some flips, and like getting out there and experimenting is how you like not just have the fun, but it's actually how you gain your wisdom as a three. Being in the lab, going and exploring. Threes learn by living, and they build resilience through failure. And using the word failure might be hard. If you are a three, you're really meant to fail fast. Like go, like the way you get to your success is by failure. And you want to have a relationship with the word failure that doesn't bring any negative connotation to it. That is some inner work that most threes have to do. It's, I never fail, I only learn. Your shadow, like when you're in your low experiment, you're not being the three that you're meant to be. You are thinking mistakes make you bad, or you're thinking mistakes are failure in the negative sense. So your tip is that nothing is wasted. When you're out there living your life, experience is just data. And that is the shift. So when threes feel like, it took me 14 tries and Katie over there did it in her first try, right? When you start thinking like that, that's when life gets really heavy. But for a three, you just are meant to move and try it and get dirty, touch the pot. And now you know what hot means, right? That's important to live by experience. Okay, I know we have some threes. So threes, tell me, do you feel like mistakes are the way that you learn? Or have any examples of that? Oh, crickets, that's fun. That's okay.
I'll go. I just didn't know how to work my phone.
That's all good.
All right. Yeah, I am a three all the way. I can't think of anything that I've ever watched somebody else do and thought, yeah, that works. Like if I don't do it, then it doesn't work for me. And I have to try it. And a lot of times it doesn't go exactly how I expected. And for years and years, I did feel like a failure or that I was doing something wrong. And now I really am starting to see it as just a lesson. And it's in my soul that if I don't do or learn the lesson myself, it's going to keep coming up until I hit my head on it at some point.
Yes. Good. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah. Yeah. I love it when threes start living their design, because I don't know, one of my mentors that I learned the life coaching process through, she had to be a three, but she used to teach like, okay, how quickly can you fail today? Let's make a list, not of your goals, but of your failures. And it just sounds so backwards, but she was so dramatic about it. Like, okay, as soon as you get to 100 failures, just think about how well you're going to be doing by that point, right? And if you can just be playful and curious about jumping in, all right, take a breath, do it scared, ready, shoot, aim. Good. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's just jump into four. So fours are the opportunists. So these are networkers. They're people that create opportunity through their relationships, and they get all their success through the people that they know, or like those that know who they know. These are people that meet their spouse and their next job from someone they already know, and they don't have to look past their inner circle. So community is super important for fours. A lot of fours are the glue, the mom, the one that, that ends up being like, okay, the phone goes both ways, people, but they're always going to be the one that calls. I don't think we had any fours on the call. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the chat. But the shadow is losing your people. The shadow is the fear of losing your people or being in conflict with the ones you love. So if you're not okay, then I must not be okay. And that can be really distracting and heavy. So people pleasing comes in here too. The tip is to grow through your network, and it has to be authentic to you. So people that are in networking, especially if you have like a four and you are trying to evolve with your work life, people are like, oh, you got to do networking groups. And I would say for sure, yes, for a four, but it has to be the right group for you. Try on lots of different people, try on lots of different groups. When you're trying to get referrals and clients, you want to ask who you know, like go to mom and be like, who can do this? who can you refer me to? Those are the people that need referrals. And when you are showing up to your network and contributing, then people are naturally going to talk to you and create opportunities for you. 2 4s are really a common type, and they are meant to be noticed for what they're really good at. But the only way they get noticed is when they are around their networking group. And it doesn't have to be just work. It can be like a community. I have communities with my yoga people and my retreat people, and maybe it's church, or maybe it's your work. So it can be all different kinds of things. So those that have a conscious 4, 4, 6, those are also pretty common as well. And I think that's all we'll say about 4. Okay. But it's all about people. The 5 line is called the heretic. It's also the fixer or the problem solver. So 5s are leaders. They're in a leadership role. They offer practical solutions. So the big difference in a 5 leadership type, so we're about to talk about a 6 as well, but the 6 isn't quite as like out there in front. This 5 is the one that's really meant to influence people outside of their network. So a 4 influences those that they're close to. A 5 influences people that are not close to, strangers. So offering practical solutions is the whole theme of their leadership. And it is about universalizing something. So the real gift of being a 5 is when you find the solution to a problem that matters to you. All right. And then you figure out how to solve that problem for everyone. The heretic, which is it's a big word. I did not like hearing this when I found out I was a 5. It's like, I don't like the idea of being a heretic, because it feels polarizing, right? Some people aren't going to like heretics, but it is about you being so sure about your solution that you can call out the wrong solutions. Okay. So let me give you an example of this. Since I'm a 5, it's very easy for me. The problem I'm here to solve is I did not like the feeling of being overwhelmed, overworked, stressed out, and having to push and force and only work through discipline. And so I set out to figure out, like, okay, well, this is what the world says is the solution. I'm just going to be really wise with my decisions, and I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do at the time I said I was going to do it. I'm going to have my own back, and I'm going to do this through motivation, force, and will. And if I don't, then I'm going to beat myself up and try again tomorrow, but I suck. Okay. That's what the world's solution to this is, this overwhelm. But for me, when I apply my human design, right? I live the role that I'm meant to play, like what we're talking about today. And I'm my manifesting generator self, and I'm going and I'm being the jack of all trades, and I'm not worrying about what other people think about my weirdoisms. Then I'm stepping into this role and life gets a little easier. So this is the solution, the tools that I have, and working and practicing and treating life as if it is a journey and not something to be fixed is my solution. Now, some people that works great for, hopefully you. But if it doesn't, then you're going to be like, oh, well, I don't like her solution. She's not going to help me out at all. And then I'll write those 5s off. So 5s have almost a repelling sense to them. You're either all in and you're drinking Kool-Aid of what they say and what they believe in their universalized solution, or you kind of think they're crazy and you don't really care to be around them or listen to what they have to say. For a 5. But the thing is that 5s really lead with wanting to help others. And so people see them, there's a projection field here on this, there's 2 lines that have projection. Other people see them differently than they are. 5s have projection of people see them and they know they're a helper and fixer, but unfortunately they decide what that person can help them with versus the other way around. And so the tip is to know that you don't need to save everybody. Okay. You're here to save the right people that your solution works for. 5s, I didn't say the shadow piece. They can feel misunderstood. And whenever someone that wants to help you feels like you didn't get them, they're going to feel guilty. And then they'll like try to force it. Like, no, just try it. Just fix it. Like, do what I say. And it can feel very like, ugh. And I think of the preacher on the corner going, turn or burn, you got to believe my way, right? Like people run from that, or they believe it too. So it's hot and cold, if you will. Okay, 5s. I know Liz and Jenny, you guys both are. Do you relate to that?
I've not really considered myself a leader like in my 20s and 30s, but now in my 40s that I've really taken on more leadership kinds of things, life is much easier. So, like when I started a yoga group and I have these ladies that meet with me twice a week and we work out, and that has been an amazing thing for my life. And I'm a worship leader, and so that's another thing that is really amazing. And now I'm a business owner and I couldn't be happier. Like before, when I was a W-2 employee working under other people and their ways of doing things just were not efficient or good or giving good customer service, it drove me nuts. And yeah, I did kind of want to shut it off, like you were saying. And so now that I'm kind of doing my own thing and I'm kind of determining how best I can serve others, it's awesome. And I'm directly connected to my own clients and interacting with them. And so that helping them is, that's every day. That's what I do every day. So, yeah.
Good. Thank you. Love that. All right. And then our final line. So let's talk about the 6. And a 6 is the role model. This one is unique. I can't believe I didn't put it on here, but this one is unique in that it has 3 stages of life. but the theme is leading through embodiment. The way that a 6 gets their embodied approach to leadership, it's a leader that's gentle. They come from a wise, like softer approach, that perspective or vision for the future. The 6 has this 3 stages of life, and I don't think we have any 6s, but I'm sure that I know that some people that signed up for this do. A 6 starts out as a 3, someone that needs to experiment and figure life out kind of the hard way. And they live as a 3 until their Saturn return around 30 years old. Then they're so exhausted from learning by experience that they like climb up onto the roof and they get a higher perspective. They start observing people. They chill out from 30 to 50-ish. They're going to just watch other people experiment, watch life, become the observer. And then when around 50, between 50 and 60, they kind of integrate the two. They come back down into the world and they can share their perspective, their advice. They have both experiential and observational wisdom. So the 6-2-6-3, or if you're 6 on the second, or a 4-6. The tip is to know that your life teaches through example. So you're really the Buddha or the Jesus type of archetype, where it's not directly saying do this, do that as leader, but they might use a metaphor, or they might quietly give advice just by asking questions and you don't even realize that they've been giving you advice. The shadow of it is that wanting to do it exactly right or be perfect, perfectionism, and then feeling different, because you've had 3 stages of life that you have to kind of grow into this number, and that journey is never over either. So 6s, it's really important for them to share their wisdom and share what they've learned, but it also needs to be asked for. So while people are not asking for your wisdom, you lead by example and you just live your life with the integrity that you've been learning through the wisdom you've gained. So that's our 6. Okay. So I had to get through the foundation of it in order to pull it all together for us. And this is really what you are wanting when your numbers come together. How they come together gives you that role you're meant to play. And when I say that you have a role to play, I like to use, my mentor used this example, so it's not mine, but I love it. She says, Forrest Gump, that movie, Tom Hanks, that's like his role of a lifetime. Would we all agree? He's the only one that could have done that. Jack Nicholson or Brad Pitt, we don't see them as Forrest Gump, right? So this role was written before him, and he reads the role, says, okay, do you want to be this? He steps into it and becomes the role. He does the accent. He gets into it. And now we think of Forrest Gump and we can quote some of the lines from the show. And when we see Tom Hanks, we're going to think about how he played that role so well. He stepped into it, right? So just one example, and I'm sure there's lots, but I know we have 1-3s on here. So the way that this works is the conscious number and the unconscious come together to make greater than the sum of their parts. They're synergistic. So when the researcher and the experimenter come together, there's learning through study and lived experience. That's a simple way of saying, like, okay, this person needs balance. So 1-3s, they need to go deep in research. They need to use whatever their energy type is. So like, for example, if you're a generator and you're a 1-3, you're really meant to respond to life with that, ooh, I want that, I need that. I got to go to that, right? That exciting, light you up energy, and then dive deep, go learn about it, go read the podcast, watch the documentary, get the certification, ask everyone for advice, go do interviews, read them all. And then you kind of have to like kick yourself out of the nest to then go try some stuff, learn just enough that you can go get messy and not freak out your nervous system because you knew nothing about it. If you're a 1-3 and you're a projector, you want to know, like, what are you good at and what are you interested in? learn all those things. And the experience piece is going to come through invitations, being recognized. When you are just out there nerding out and talking about what you love, let's say it's gardening. Oh my God, gardening, and people see your garden and your roses are blooming and everyone else's are dying. People are going to come and be like, how did you do that? And you're like, oh, well, let me tell you this and this and this and this. That's when you shine, when you're doing it without other people watching until they notice it. And then you're invited and you'll have plenty of energy to do that. Hopefully that makes sense. On the call today, we have the 3-5, for example, the experimenter plus the heretic. So this is someone who's tested things over and over in the lab, and now you are the authority to share with other people how you did it, what you did. So a 3 who's done like hands-on dirty work, figuring it out the hard way, like you would be the perfect person in whatever it is that you want to problem solve for. So let's say I just watched one of these because I live in an apartment now, and there's like the filter system, and I'm really concerned about having like a water filter system. So I watched this way long YouTube thing on someone who bought like all the water filtration systems and ranked them and had like a system for ranking them. Okay. So I thought this was a perfect 3-5 example. So they had like the Aqua True and the Pure Life and all these things, right? So they get the system, they try it out, they test the water, they drink it, they ask others, they try to have the control system. So like the true scientist lab, that's the 3 part. But they're trying to solve the problem of making sure like you're not overspending, you're not drinking chemicals and microplastics, and they're solving the problem of like getting you the best value or convenience, or, you know, for your money or your time or the health for your body, right? That's the problem. So 3-5s are the perfect people to go through and do that testing and then bring it to the world and say, this is the one you want because it is the best value for the price. And if maybe it's the price that's important to you, or maybe it's, this is the best quality. So even though the price is high, this is the one you want, right? That expertise of knowing you already did all the work for me. And now if you're my leader and I decide you have the solution to the problem that I want to solve, I will take your recommendation. Make sense? Let's see. We have the 5-1, the heretic meets the investigator. So a 5-1, Jenny, you know, you're the expert. People look at you as a 1 on the second line. They're going to be like, she knows what she's talking about. And that's how they pick their leader. Okay. So when you just geek out on what you love to learn about, you're going to be the expert. And then when you have problems to solve and you're like, this is the problem I want to solve, they see you as the expert. Match made in heaven, because you want and you want to follow a leader who knows a lot about what you are interested in. So that is and then when it's a practical solutions is really important too. Likely 5-1s are going to be those that, like, it's everyday people figuring out everyday things they need. Like, I know, you know, spiritual practices, moving your body and clearing your mind, that sort of thing. Like those are solutions or problems that a lot of us face. The 5-2, I know Liz is on here, natural talent and problem solving on a larger scale. So you deciding like, who is it that I'm here to help? And then you have to call yourself up. You have to recognize your own gifts. So the difference in a 5-1, someone is going to say like, ooh, Jenny's an expert at this, and I want you to be my leader. A 5-2, the important thing is for the 2 part of you to recognize what you're good at and say, hey, it's called the reluctant leader. I'm gonna be a leader in this because I know I'm good at it. That's what's important for a 5-2. And did I miss anyone on here? Your 2 numbers? I want to make sure I give a little extra. You can type it in the chat. You missed yours. But before we open it up to conversation, the missing piece is the integration. When we were talking about the personality profile, things that we like, oh, this is cool because it sounds like me, or this is me, or I'm learning about me. it's one thing to know who I am and what I'm like, and that makes sense. But like what you actually do with it, the integration, knowing's not enough. So I would say most of us know what we should do or what we're supposed to, or you may even know your gifts, what you're good at, what you're trained in. And all of this can resonate, and we can still feel very stuck because the nervous system, it holds on to patterns, it holds on to the old ways, and that's kind of where this kind of diverges, right? Like who I am and who I'm becoming, and how I act, how I show up, how I am aligned, how I have that ease. It takes practice and integration. So it must have accountability, it has to have maybe coaching and a big dose of kindness and curiosity for yourself. It's not me saying like, hey, this is you, so do it, right? That's not what we're here to do today. It's you noticing, okay, this is what human design says that I can be. This is the potential that I have. And if it rings true, let's try it on like a dress in a fitting room. Let's try it on. Let's see. What if I step into practicing being a 5, practicing being a 1-3, practicing being a 3-5, and really lean into that and just take some data, take some little tiny steps of, does it feel better? Jenny had a good example. She said, when I started stepping into that leadership and I started doing my own thing, it got a little easier, right? Like that's what we're looking for. Those little, oh, this feels good. And really turning on its head something hard is what I'm supposed, that's not worth it if it's not hard. But turning that on its head and saying like, if it's hard, maybe that's not right for me. Maybe it is supposed to be easy. What if we got curious and kind towards ourselves enough to be like, oh, well, you're just trying to live like someone you're not. Let's take a quick pause here to talk a little bit about like your feedback based on just what we've talked about today. Or if you have any questions, if it didn't resonate, maybe we could talk a little bit about that too. And feel free to come off mute or type it in the chat. I'll check the chat here while I wait.
I'm surprised I'm not a number 4. Is there like a third number that I could be?
I love that that's the one, right? Like that was exactly the same for me. I think, I don't know how you were raised, but I believe that Girl Scouts, church goers, Midwestern women are pretty much all raised to be 4. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if everyone on here was like, I would have believed 4 before I believed that. Just because we're taught, especially as women, even to be kind and like be the networker, be buddy with people, have a bestie, have a friend group, be part of the team and networking. And here's the thing, like if you identify with the networking piece, like, oh, I get ahead by people saying, hey, do you know this person? I get a lot of that too. In fact, like, some of you are friends that I've known for a long time, or, Mindy, you're part of my network, right? Pampered Chef, and now, bridging the network over here. So for like, all of us probably have those lines somewhere in our chart. The ones we're talking about today, your personality, are the leading ones, the ones where you have the greatest potential for feeling who you are, being that embodied person, stepping into the role you were meant to play. There's, with the actor analogy, we've got Tom Hanks, he's an A actor. We all know his name, right? There's probably some really great actors in B movies that we would like. It doesn't mean they're bad, but it's just essentially saying, like, if you want the big A type role, let's practice with these 2 numbers and see how, if it feels like a better fit. And if we've been living like 4 for a long time, it might not at first, but yours was a 1-3, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, you have this perfect opportunity with building this brand new business, because like where you're an expert, where you're already good at something, and you've already trialed and errored a lot of what you're going to be doing, like focusing your energy on those areas where you can learn and like pull down and become the expert, but also try it out and be okay if it doesn't work out, because that's just data. That's going to serve you so well as you try to move this business forward. And yes, use your network to get some clients to do that with, you know. Hope that makes sense. But thank you for bringing that up. I think the 4 tricks a lot of, at least us women too. Any other thoughts? We'll have another round for question and answers.
One thought I had is the shadow on a 5, a projection.
Mm.
That one, I feel like a lot of the struggles I have, I feel like I keep them internal, and I struggled with depression for years and years, like really bad, like and I'm still on a lot of medicine for it. So that surprised me a little. But maybe it makes sense if there's been relationships where maybe I pushed people away, maybe I was projecting and didn't realize it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So the projection for a 5 is they project onto you, not you projecting onto them. So the way that looks, a lot of 5s, relationships are how I've experienced this as a 5. It's like people will say, hey, you can help me with XYZ. And if you don't help them in the way they expected you to help them, then they're mad at you. And maybe you never promised that kind of help. Right. So, you know, I'm here as a 5. It's very likely that you guys said, oh, Katie's going to help me with my business. Maybe. But what I'm really here to do is help you understand, like, there's an easier way. It's not specific to your business, right? So if you leave this call today and you're like, ugh, it wasn't really that great, I didn't really get all I needed for my business, right? That would be projecting on to the 5. And maybe I didn't live up to your expectations. And that happens all the time for 5s. We show up, we lead, we do our thing. And some people are like, cool, you did a great job. And some are like, that wasn't what I needed at all. And I wasted my time. And so it's highly likely that one or more of you that watch this are going to feel that way. And it's just the nature of my personality. So I don't know if that helps, Jenny, but it's like, what have you done for me lately is kind of how it can feel being projected onto. Like if you don't help, then you don't matter. And it's not true. It's just how it can feel when you are in that leadership role. Is that helpful at all?
Yeah, I mean, does it have anything to do with, because like one of my love languages is quality time. So would projecting be like if someone hasn't spent any quality time with me lately and me thinking, oh, they don't like me anymore, or they don't love me anymore? Is that kind of the same thing or different?
I'm taking that in. It probably wouldn't be the 5. It probably wouldn't be the 5 piece of the personality, but like what you're describing, it would be very aligned with some of the centers. Like, so your body graph in your chart, there's the heart center, the ego center, the emotional center. And so the quality time piece, like maybe the ego center is open or unhealthy and it needs other people in order to feel okay. That might be part of it. I know that's like, I'm using that example because that's one that I have, but yeah, it's likely that piece of it, that trouble, it's probably somewhere else in the chart than the leadership piece.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's a great question. I that's the kind of stuff I love to talk about. Anybody else before I finish up today?
I found like with my 5, and I know there's something in my chart, you've told me about it before, like where I still need to be invited to share the help or the leadership. And I find when I'm not I still tell them exactly what they need. That's just not what they want to hear. And so it's immediately rejected because of defense mechanisms and other things. So like I am learning to see what I see and just wait for the opportunity to come up where I can, in a good situation, say like, oh geez, I've been doing this thing, or I've heard about that thing, or have you ever heard of this? Would you like to hear about this? Like those ways seem to be accepted a lot more than the way I was previously trying to do it. Like somebody would come with an issue and I'm like, oh, let me help you fix that.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't like how you want me to fix it.
Your example is so 3-5, right? Like, oh, I'm trying it this way now, and I used to do it that way. And I love that. But yeah, and it's not guaranteed that even when we wait and we get the opportunity to share, and she was referring to like a projected talent that she has. If you're a projector, it's the same kind of thing. Like they can't hear our advice or our leadership unless they ask for it, or they say they want what we have to say, or what we have to help them with. And it doesn't guarantee that they are going to like our advice, want to hear it, or not feel like, no, I don't want that. It doesn't mean it. The whole point of being a 5 is being able, how do I receive when I'm rejected? Or how, if I repel someone and I wanted them to love me or like me, how am I still authentically myself and stepping into this role, even though I know there's going to be times when it didn't help them, or they misunderstood me, or they didn't take my advice. And now I'm, so what do I make that mean about myself is the more important thing than making sure we don't hide away our solutions, because we're meant to be sharing them as leaders if it's the 5 line. Good. Let me share my screen one more time and we'll wrap up. So the integration piece. So the lighten your load journey, I think a couple of you on this call have been part of that. My soft launch that I did last summer. And I've been working all year on collecting data, like how do I want to work? What problems do I want to solve? And really leaning into my design. And I've come up with just an adjustment to how I show up for clients. And I have 3 integration partnering opportunities, if you will. So I'm going to share those, and I'd love for you just to open-mindedly, like, is this something, or any of these 3, something that would serve you or someone that you know that you could share these with? The Lighten Your Load Journey is my top tier coaching program. I've made adjustments, so it's not really like the one I did last summer, but that one was so helpful in getting feedback. So if you were part of it, it'd be a little bit different. But basically, the Lighten Your Load journey is about practicing. It's about setting the foundation for living by your design. So if human design is something that calls to you as, I know this practice would support me moving forward and feeling that alignment and that ease. It's a 12-week program, and it is all about the little everyday things that don't blow up your life. It includes 3 integrative readings. So we look at your custom chart together, 1-to-1. And then I have the Lighten Your Load practice. So this is the second tier. It's a monthly membership. And these are things that I've been doing. Like some people will do a reading with me here and there, and then they'll come to my intention setting workshop, or maybe they'll do a yoga class with me. And I'm going to be adding on some group coaching, what we did today when we had this open forum. But group coaching has been one of the things that pushed me forward, because sometimes the hot seat of directly talking about your situation, you're too close to it. But when you hear someone else going through something that is adjacent, you're like, oh, that sounds a lot like my situation. I think I've learned just as much from hearing other people talk about their situations, and it gives perspective to mine or to a relationship that I have. So that, and then the third one is just the custom reading. So with my new certification, I am able to do a little bit more, like how all the parts of your chart works together. And those are just one-off private sessions. So that's kind of the offers that's how I could help you if you wanted to like Katie's my 5 that I want to have help me, then maybe it's one of these. So the little bit more about the lighten your load journey. This is the big piece. If you wanted to step into the working together with me for 90 days, we work the first month really on awareness. So you're going to get your reading, your sessions with me. We're going to dive into the places, like if you're working really hard on businesses or relationships or where you're feeling the lack, that's where we'll focus. So it's custom to you, life coaching, etc. Get the one-on-one, plus you'll have like monthly sessions that are always occurring. And we just start to observe. So when I did a program very similar to this, when I first started, I did things like, okay, today we're just gonna, like, I'm a generator energy type, so I have to respond to life with a hell yeah. So I literally just took 1 week where I noticed when my body said yes to something. And if I did or not, it wasn't about doing it. So it would be, I wanted to organize the closet. And what I forced myself to do was write the email. After that, I felt tired. So just kind of taking that awareness, that data, how am I currently living, and starting to make those alignments and shifts. So once you get the information, that's when you dive in to alignment. And that's practicing those boundaries, noticing where they need to be. Notice like, oh my gosh, I pushed past the energy I had to give today. So what would it look like? And then making that tweak, having that accountability ongoing. And then once you start to become aware of it, it just becomes a practice. It never really ends. And that's why I have the lighten your load practice. So that's my monthly membership. It has intention setting. I call them my monthly moon workshops. So the first Thursday of every month, we look at the full moon, the new moon, and all the transits for human design. So as the sun moves, just like in astrology, it lights up different gifts for all of us. And so I call that weekly forecast, kind of like the weather, but this is the energy of the week. So for example, this week, we are in gate 56, and also the astrology is giving us the energy to get stuff done. So if you felt like you were able to go ahead and do the thing you didn't want to do a little bit easier this week, that's definitely been true for me. That's part of our weather this week. The other part of our weather is that communication got a little bit lighter. So it was really rough and making mistakes. Technology was breaking a lot last week, and this week a little less so. So maybe communications like misunderstandings happening less. So that's supportive, right? And then gate 56 in human design for this week specifically is about taking a little adventure and then telling stories. So storytelling or listening to stories can help us understand with more clarity this week. So that's what I mean with the workshops. The biweekly coaching is every other week, a group, not unlike what we did today. I'll teach a little, we'll talk a little. You can bring your human design problems or your everyday problems, and we'll apply either your profile, your energy type, or your decision-making style to it, and give that real-time advice on how to move forward or to practice without making it like, I have to wake up at 4 a.m. and eat this certain way and only drink lemon juice. You just have some different practices. And the whole point of both of these programs is it's not about a finish line, right? It's about learning how to return to yourself again and again. That's what I think consistency is. When I talk about consistency, I don't think you need to do something a certain way every single day, but finding out who you are and then always returning. What is my strategy? What is my authority? Who am I? And am I acting like that now? What can I do to change it? So those are the two programs that I have. Okay, I didn't stop on this. So the lighten your load is the investments, $2,222. Love using the angel numbers because they're fun, right? But this is the 3 private coaching, the human design implementation that's shared to you, the monthly workshops that I just talked about, the group coaching that's every other week. And then I also have some sound healing, a software system that will give you music custom to your voice to help you regulate emotions. And that's something I've been using for about a year with myself and my clients. You'll also have text message access to me. And I use my yoga practices weekly for that mind-body connection. So things like, what's your Ayurvedic type? Making sure that your sleep, exercise, and eating are aligned. Those are all things that are available to you for the 90 days that you work with me. And then my bonus, if you join the Lighten Your Load journey by the end of this month, you can save $500 and get 3 free months of the Lighten Your Load practice. So when you're part of the Lighten Your Load journey, you're already going to get the monthly stuff included, but that would give you 3 additional months of practice after your Lighten Your Load journey program, the custom program, is over. Does that make sense? Okay. And the practice, the monthly membership is $56 a month, and you can cancel anytime. I don't have any fancy programs or systems or assistants to help me with these things. You won't be auto charged or anything like that. Maybe someday, right? But I did go ahead and you get your second month free. So if you decide, okay, I'm going to try out this monthly thing, basically you're getting 2 months for one. And if you do decide to pay for a year upfront, you can save the $73.92. And that would be then 13 months because you get the 1 month free. Cool. And that would give you access to all of my group things for every month for a year. Cool. And finally, I'm launching my readings. So this will replace my readings or my special topic readings for anyone that's already done a reading with me. So if you've ever done a reading with me, go over your type, your strategy, your authority, whether that's a mini reading for like 20 minutes or if it's a full hour, and we dive just into your custom design. These are going to be for putting all those parts together, giving you some practices. So all 3 of these opportunities help you take that next step of stepping into the role. The monthly membership gives you that community and group support, a little bit of just like, do you call it hand holding? I don't know that it's hand holding, but it's like, just like, I'm in this with you. I'm in this with you. Reminders, always kind of in your face, something to show up to, like your monthly gym membership, right? And then the journey is that custom. I'm going to hold your hand for 90 days, and then I'm going to kick you out of the nest and be like, you can do this. Okay. Cause I'm not here to be everyone's hand holder all day long. That's not what a 5 does. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to help you learn the skills, and then you're going to go on. You won't need the Lighten Your Load journey for the rest of your life. You just need to learn it and then get in the habit of practice. Now, the practice piece, maybe you want to stay in that for longer. I know I like having a community for learning things that I'm interested in. Let's see. 1 month free. Yeah, I talked about that one. The readings. If you just want to read them, that's custom to you. We'll dive in to your type, strategy, and authority, how those parts work together. If you've already done a reading for me, this is your bonus. If you've paid for a reading with me before, then you can take the amount you paid. So if you met me at a vendor fair and you paid $33, you can take the $33 off of your total. If you did a full reading with me and you paid the $156 or whatever it was, you can take that much off of your next reading. So that is my bonus for you if you book by the end of the month. Plus, anybody that books a reading with me by the 31st will get to be part of the Lighten Your Load practice and come to the monthly workshops for the month of August. Yeah, for free. Cool. All right. Reminder, I've got a free opportunity for you to learn about human design, have your weekly mindset coach with the Inspired by Design podcast. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. If you haven't left a review, do that. And then here is our like kind of open forum here for the last couple of minutes. What if this journey isn't about fixing yourself? What if you just need to remember who you are and step into that role? So today I wanted to remind you of how the profile helps you step into the role that you're here to play. We want to take it lightly, be curious, and try it on like a dress in a fitting room. So with that, what is something today that you'd like to try just based on what you've learned today about your role?